Half-Life 2. So vlogging. First off, I jumped over here because there is a commentary note here because, half of the point of this playthrough is to listen to them, so skipping them is not what I want to do. Having a quick glance around to see if I'm gonna miss any other by not actually going to the places that would give me other resources, but no. So let's hear what's up.
Half-Life 2 is known for its hidden caches, marked with the familiar Lambda logo. But these were not always the norm, as health and ammo were originally breadcrumbed along the player's path during the game's development. However, playtesters would often find themselves low on health, and this caused the gameplay to become more tense and exciting, with players strongly anticipating the next health and ammo drop. The development team then decided that this type of gameplay was desirable and reworked the game around larger, sparser supply caches.
Well, yeah, also, so since we're talking about large supply caches and all this being desirable, this whole place is a boss fountain. Of course, you know what a boss fountain is, right? It's the place where you're giving lots of resources seemingly out of fucking nowhere, and then it just so happens that you've got a boss encounter. What a coincidence, isn't it? Right. So, what we need to do now is enable this thumper to have a safe haven, let's say, from the antlions. But there's power lines, of course, here, and there's the generator. So, if we were to go there and try to enable it, it wouldn't work because power's out. But we can get the power on. Did I do it? Alright. So the vlogging time. The vlog today is about electronics and my equipment. I started this whole thing essentially with Jedi Outcast playthrough, where I talked about my monitor Saga and how I, bought the cable, dabbled in fucking perfectly calibrating the colors and shit like that. But and then I played Jedi Academy and I talked about how I bought a second-hand Razer keyboard and that I was pretty happy with. But at some point I also must have mentioned how I've got how's my audio setup. Oh hey, don't do that. That's illegal. Also, I didn't cause enough problems for you to show up, so fuck off. Hey, don't fall. Right, so the audio setup I've got is that I've got 2.1 speakers in front of me, and I also have an old speakers pair behind me. And when I'm recording these things I use headphones, because otherwise the sound would bleed through, and that would be unprofessional. Out of all these things that I do here, some things are actually, at least to some extent, professional. As far as it goes, where you just need to do things instead of buy things. Right, so since we already have the thumper and they won't show up, or at least won't try to come over to harm us, we can take a break here. So that's how it is. And none of the setups, none of the pairs of audio devices I've got are good enough, really. So that's to say, with the 2.1 and the pair of speakers I've got behind me, I've got quattro stereo, essentially, right? All around audio experience, which is pretty cool if I can say so myself. If I do say so myself, and I do. That's something I would advertise for you to have. It's pretty cool. Something I did want to have and never did, because that's kind of an issue of money. But since I've got the pair of old speakers, the pair of old speakers is the two columns that I got behind me. Those are very old compared to the 2.1 setup that isn't too new either, so no excitement there. But I do have it, so I plugged the other pair behind me, and I've got 4.1 essentially, effectively. But the speakers are old, especially the ones behind me. So that means they're actually malfunctioning. They are actually malfunctioning. And the big issue with them is that... oh, hey, why did you come here? And why can't I hear you behind me? Hold on, let me check settings. Weird. The game has it set up for 5.1, which I technically would emulate with the speakers, but what if I did headphones? I'm gonna do headphones and you're gonna tell me whether it's better or worse. Well, I also broke music that was about to play here, but I set it to headphones, so we'll see about that. Right, we've got commentary nodes. Hold on. Someone wanted to join us here, and I heard that, so I guess it's working. Okay. We've got commentary nodes, and usually it's so that when you're using them, the whole, like I said, at some point, I'm pretty sure, when you're playing this mode, you're not getting achievements, because when you're using these nodes, you're getting temporary invincibility. So that would be cheating in achievements, so that's not allowed. So I'm not gonna use that. I'm gonna legally and without cheating do the boss battle here, and then we'll listen to that. So anyway, let's have it, and then I'll start talking. This is an antlion guard, if not just a warrior like ants have. And it's big and tough, and killing it is fun. Also, small antlions show up, and it can throw objects at you to hurt you, and it also bull charges at you. You can make it slam into walls, so it stuns it temporarily. But it's not gonna be too required, not too required. Anyway, hold on, stop barking. Hey, fuck off. And this one, yeah. It really is barking like a dog, which is funny, at least to me. Oh hey, also, I forgot about that. You can have, there is an outpost, yeah, we're coming here for a specific reason, and there is an outpost on the way that we can employ help from. Not only afterwards, after the battle, but also during it, because they've got mountain machine gun, which is smart. If you're not doing too well with it, consider doing that. So, there's that. There's our boss battle. It takes a bit, but also it takes a Vortigon to progress. And unfortunately, it is somewhat of a scripted scene, which is plot, which is not me speaking.
The free man must follow.
Okay. Why? And who are you? What do you want from me? Oh, I almost ran out of shotgun ammo completely.
Man will do wise to heed our extraction of the Myrmidont's aromatic theropods. The process is not entirely hygienic, therefore stand aside.
Don't get dirty, how polite of him. For once. Also, Myrmidont. This is what the Latin...
Need of these theropods on the paths ahead. Gather them now.
And we have it. The theropods are in our hands already, and that's gonna be a weapon. Yeah, we're gonna talk about it eventually. Myrmidont. Usually when it's when something is called Daunt, it's in reference to its teeth, and I don't know how it references this one. What kind of tooth a Myrmi is? I don't know. Myrmidont. Oh yeah, also the nose.
The behavior of the antlion guard is modeled after
Myrmidont.
that of a bull, rearing its legs and charging headfirst at the player. Originally, antlion guards would hurl noxious theropods at the player that would flush the player into open areas where the large guard has an advantage. It was later decided that this power should be given to the player instead, in order to control an antlion army.
Yes, already spoilers in this commentary note, but what can you do about that? Not listen to it? What are you, stupid? Right. So the audio. The speakers behind me have something wrong with its cable, the thing that you plug in, the jack, mini jack thing. Yeah, so how it manifested itself in use is that it's either both of the speakers had were ringing, sounding, emitting both either speaker signal, like when you wanted a right channel, it was heard from both speakers, or if you wanted right, of course, but But also, the other problem was that selectively the channels could just fucking disappear. Like when you were testing it for left and right channel, left wouldn't sound, or right wouldn't sound, or neither would sound. So it's clearly that there's something wrong with the wire. If you twist it and turn it and pinch it and do weird things with its position, you could eventually get it to where it works, but it's unreliable, and also when the cable outstretches on its own, you know, relieving the tensions that you put in it when twisting and turning it, that kept breaking essentially. So it was annoying, unreliable, and not working correctly. So I got mad. And I got mad enough after I couldn't twist and pinch and turn it enough to make both channels work. Yeah, don't worry, I wasn't just standing around and running around and doing nothing. I was actually trying to look for supplies as well. Yeah, we're not following him all the way, because there's still options, and also music. It's interesting that we're in this situation where there are tall cliffs and this, I don't know how to call it, in between these cliffs there's this space, so it's in the shade, and the big fires are reminiscing of incoming night. The what's the word? Dawn, and also nightfall, I think. So the fire casts a harsh contrasting light against the dull background. They seem lit, and it all seems like it's night already, but it's not yet. But it's gonna be soon enough as we progress through this level and through the next one. Right, they're gonna talk, I think. Yep, because I've got this Theropod bugbait from Myrmidont. Yes, and look, you can. Well, I'll give you good advertisement. Kitchen gun and theropods, I swear by it myself. Great.
Well, Dr. Freeman, you're a regular antlion now.
Regular. I'll give you one thing, the alternative fire, because it won't do anything right now. If you squeeze it, it's like a stress reliever, look. Right, that's enough for the demo right now, before we get into plot territory. Ah. Funny how they seem to speak through each other or over each other, meaning that one is speaking still while the other starts to talk. But listen to what they'll tell you.
The Freeman must excuse us. It is rude of us to commune by flux shifting in front of those whose vocal inputs are impaired. Yes, we'll vocalize in your auditory language as a matter of courtesy. Unless we wish to say unflattering things about you. Just so.
Again, how polite of them, right? They'll give you compliments, and they'll keep them secret. And also will bother to talk to you in English, only if it's necessary. You fucking animal. You vortessence impaired fucking nobody. Yeah. What are we doing? Oh, right, maybe we can listen to the node.
Half-Life 2 is a reoccurring theme of foes becoming friends. The two prime examples are the Vortigaunts and the Antlions. This is also prevalent later with various forms of combine tech used in future chapters of Half-Life 2 and in the episodes. This works well because the player has first-hand experience with the strengths and weaknesses of these enemies before they become tools and allies for the player to use.
Just so. Right. What was I saying? But yeah, the cable was... So there's something wrong with the cable, and when you get mad enough for the frustration to motivate you enough to do something about it...
Nova Prospect is just ahead. One man alone wouldn't stand much chance going in there. But a man with a pack of antlions, well, that's a different story.
Because, you know, it's either throwing away this pair and buying a new one, or trying to fix it, and fixing is free, so we went with that. Welcome to free-to-play. Oh, yes, I do. Yeah, so I actually did decide to fix the wire. So I kept it plugged in into everything, including electricity, because, you know, working on electrical appliances when they're plugged into the socket is smart, but also I needed the input to know if they're actually working. So I'm cutting the wire open to see what's inside. First off, if it's just like what would you call it? Very many tiny copper wires, like a brush, like a wick, without distinguishing separation between channels, then I wouldn't know what to do with it. So I open it, and first thing I notice is there is a wire, there is some sort of wire, exposed wire, wrapped around two isolated wires. So perfect. First off, we found out that there is separate channels, wires for channels. Yes, sorry, tutorial.
And learn to shepherd ant lions with the so-called bug bait.
Gordon Freeman Shepherd.
Will now break out this theropod and toss one into yonder pit.
I don't really know what a yonder is. Also, strangely enough, it's good enough to just hold the, well, have it in, shit, that's not what I needed. Hold it in your possession, the antlion theropod bugbait, Myrmidont's theropods. I'm gonna be using that term, and I'm gonna put it in a fucking title. It's already in the title, and you already know. It's enough for them to recognize you as one of your own. So, the primary fire is you throw it, and they go where you throw it. Yes. Look, I'm so skilled. I can just throw it, and I do it well. Also, you just have one, but also infinity of them.
Observe the training mannequin and mark it well with another theropod.
That's not how you spell mannequin. That's a French word, yeah. So again, another function is contextual. If theropod collides with an enemy, and we know how to... An enemy are connected to the enemy AI and attacking you, so that's detected like hit is detected. So they know where to look for the enemy. Also, yeah, in this mod their coloring looks pretty nice, especially the darker one, because it's more distinct and less blurry with the shitty textures. Very nice. Yeah, and now, since well, I'm gonna talk about it later, because today it's vlog time, and also nodes.
In the first Half-Life game and its expansions, a tutorial level was included to train the player, teaching basic controls as well as familiarizing the player with various mechanics that would be used throughout the game. While developing Half-Life 2, Valve decided that this was no longer needed, and it would be preferable to instead train the player during the game's main campaign via on-screen prompts and in-game NPCs. This bug bait training sequence with the Vortigaunt instructor is a prime example of the new system. This scene, along with the scrapyard sequence where you play fetch with Dog, effectively convey the game's rules and mechanics to the player without breaking immersion.
Yes, aside from the fact that they outright give you like tooltips on the screen, how to operate, for instance, a crane and shit. So I didn't pay attention whether you actually get clues or tooltips how to throw a bugbait and use it to recall them. But they do actually tell you to throw it, so I guess you pull it out like a weapon and then press all the buttons until you come across the ones that perform the function, unless they actually just give you the solution outright. What do I do now? Do I just... oh, yeah.
Attend well. Apply pressure to your theropod to signal the ant lions in your command to follow you.
Yes, like I said, you've got only one theropod, but also you've got infinite of them, so you can throw them at your heart's content. And squeezing it?
Squeeze his bug bait sharply if it wishes the ant lions to follow where he leads. The Freeman shows his excellence in all things.
Yes.
And now this one must bid the Freeman farewell. Nova Prospect lies just beyond. Remember well what you have learned here. The Eli Vance has greatest confidence in you.
Very cool. Oh yeah, but by the way, so we've got the sand part, right, where it's soft and these ant lines came through, and we've got the fence. So are you ready to collect the pods, just in case anyone needs to use them, or you think it would be appropriate to start using them? So we've got a training pit. or are you already in possession of large numbers of these theropods to rub yourself with and not anger the antlions? So defense maybe isn't that necessary. But then again, all the guards and all the fences, right? You know what I mean? I don't know if they were planning on this. They were planning to get to it eventually, and now that I'm here and they didn't have the Myrmidont around to collect pods from, but now that I have one, they finally have a reason to start using this training pit and mannequin here. Yeah. So there's that level. From now on, antlions are our friends, and I can keep talking. So as I cut the wire open, the cable open, I find that there is a copper wiring around two isolated wires. So I know now that there is a left and right separate channel isolated as well. And now I have to find exactly where is the part that either of these cables is broken, and what the fuck is the coiling around them. So I think first I think this exposed wiring is some sort of enforcement, like for the wire to either keep its shape or not get tangled or not get torn as easily. So I pretty much discarded or treated very unceremoniously, and then I exposed the tiny wires inside, cables inside, for the little copper brushes to start being exposed and start being tinkered with. And yeah, I eventually did find the place where the wire was broken, because when I pulled on it, it came out, so it was clear enough that that's where it was broken. But you couldn't really tell where is it going, really, where is the start and the end of the broken part. So I cut a piece of it out, not a large section, but a significant section. It's not an insignificant amount. It's not that it's hard to talk about amounts. It was like, that's why we've got quantifiers of amounts. Like 10 centimeters of wire out of like a meter or meter 20. So it's definitely noticeable when you pick it up, but I cut it out, I exposed the wires and started touching them together to get the signal, right? Oh, talking about nothing at all, but talking about the thing I talked about before. See how it's darker now here? And how it seems more dusky? Yeah, dusky, right? I never remember whether it's dusk or dawn. Also, look at these columns that are so reminiscent of thermite. What would it be? Cones? Mounds. Thermite mounds. But antlions are so large, so they wouldn't fit through here. Maybe it's a ventilation shaft for antlions' nests. Maybe. So yeah, we went through there. And since we weren't, at some point it was closed off enough for us not to see the sky, the time has changed. It's now more darker and more night. Yes, and the thumper, as we've experienced, it helped us when the antlions were our enemies, because it kept them away, but now we want to keep them close, so we need to disable them. What a switch change. Great, what a good game design. That's why this game was revolutionary when it came out. Amazing, fantastic, great, perfect. So I exposed the wires and started touching them together. But I notice when I touch red to red and white to white, I do get a signal, like the speakers do speak up, but very faintly. So I'm thinking, why would that be? Is that exposed wiring outside of those isolated two wires actually doing something? Is it like a ground or something? I actually did Google it and researched it a bit, and yes, it did actually turn out to be ground. And not only that, once I sort of gathered that together into like a strain and then touched that together as well as or along with the colored wire, the signal was very proper, the signal was very audible, working as intended, so I was very happy. I actually fixed those speakers and they now work as intended. The wires are still exposed, I don't really need to isolate them with any electrical tape or anything, or that shrinking part rubber thing. Go! Finally, I don't have to play the game, they can. So I don't really have to isolate the wire. Oh shit, they threw a grenade here and I got hit. That's not fair. Shit. Kill this one. Also, the bug bait is helpful because it stuns enemies. Because it's like it's weird. It's just theropod and pheromones. So it's just chemical and a cloud of like a smell, right? But, well, you can't really see that anymore. Let's try to find one. Maybe there's still one left. Oh, we can just throw it, it's just fine. Well, just throw here. See, you can see the particle effect that you threw it here, and it seems erratic and shit. Like it's not that it's just evaporating. It's as if there is actually something inside, like little things like this, little larvae maybe, or no, not really, but eggs perhaps, something, some sort of even more larval stage, right? Because it moves on its own, and the enemies are trying to shoo it away with their arms. Let's see. Oh shit, fuck. So if we will be quick, maybe they won't kill us too much with their fucking machine gun emplacements. And now we have to get ourselves over there and make them get out so that I can actually demonstrate it. That'll be the blind spot. Shit. There we go. See? He moves his arms around like he's trying to shoo something away, but it's just chemicals. What are you doing? You also have a gas mask, so it's not that it stinks. And also it shouldn't stink since it's a pheromone. And pheromones have this distinct feature of not being able to be smelled by things that are not... Or maybe, well, it depends. Some pheromones cannot be smelled. Smelled? Yeah, I'm gonna go with smelled. Smelled by anyone who isn't of the species the pheromones do. What did I do? Oh yeah, I disabled the alarm. It's fine. That's good. That's actually good. It's not annoying anymore. Also, I hope you enjoyed the music that was in the background that you might have not heard at all because I was busy talking and also combat in the game. But yeah, the music was cool. Very pumped and actiony and really kept you moving. Talking about moving, I'll be finishing for today. And yeah, touching off the wires, twisting them together. The biggest problem with it is that the wires were really thin, so exposing them, stripping the wires and then tying them together was a massive chore, especially since I wasn't really sure whether it's broken at any other point or when I pulled on it, it was because they were broken, or was it enough to just rip them apart? It shouldn't be, it's a fucking copper metal, it's not that it's as weak as a human hair, but yeah, it didn't work. I was worried that I would tear them apart again, so I was very, very careful, especially since I was cutting the isolation off and not really having any designated, purpose-built, designed tool for it. So the worry of cutting the wires either way again was still present, but I did it. I stripped the wires, which was a massive chore, a massive problem, considering how small the wires were. Shit. Get to the blind spot. Good thing you've got fucking armor. It's a bad thing that... yeah, that's the bad thing. That the bullets slow you down, because that's reasonable. Fuck. I'm gonna have to figure something out for the next episode. So stripping the wires was really difficult, and I didn't want to do a lot of it, so I didn't expose too much of it to twist it together to keep the signals going, but I fixed it. So that's one thing when it comes to fixing my audio, fixing my electronics. Another like insert in the expanded universe of my appliances and the story behind them and how everything is broken or not working. Next episode we're gonna talk about the front speakers, and after that we'll hopefully get to my mouse and D-tube, maybe eventually. So stick around for my vlog because I need to talk more, and so do you, and also free games, right? Yeah. See you next time.